Very good morning to all of you, ladies and gentlemen. What I'm going to be saying in the next 15-20 minutes is all about what I believe is what we need to be doing going forward in the space of talent. So I thought that I'll probably comment more general today, being very close to IT industry. Let me tell you where we are as an industry at this point of time. This year, that's 2011, we ended up with an export revenue of about $59 billion. That's about 300,000 crores. That's what this industry did last financial year. And if you look at it, comparatively 10 years back, it was as low as 30,000 crores. So we had a 10-fold growth that happened in the span of 10 years. It's a 10x factor. Nowhere in the world, no other industry in the world has got a parallel story as the software industry in India. Fast forward for 10 more years. What does the forecast from Global Insight, McKinsey, NASSCOM tell you all about? It says this export number of $60 billion is now being forecasted to grow as much as $175 billion. That's getting to a lakh of crores rupees. That's what we will see happening in this industry. And this industry also, if you look at it, has certainly come of age. Today, it contributes to about 6.4% of our GDP. It contributes to about 14% of the exports that we have. And it is 10% of the services industry. And the services industry itself has an extremely important role to play in the nation's GDP. Our $1 trillion economy we are has about $550 billion comes out of the services sector. And 10% of that is just coming out of the software sector. So therefore, one thing is fairly well accomplished at this point of time in the last 10 years. And that is this industry has definitely performed and has come of age. And does it slow down? No. The forecast tells you that there is tremendous amount of opportunity as we move forward. But what have we done in terms of employment so far? I believe in 2011, we employed 2.54 million engineers in the software industry. That's 25 lakhs of them directly. And it is indirectly, you apply a factor of 10, apply a factor of 4, it will go to 10 million, or a crore of people are being employed by this industry indirectly. So now you go back and extrapolate what will be the requirements that we have for the IT industry 10 years today. Dr. Reddy said many right things. I'll keep on talking about him. I have not seen his presentation, but I'm very impressed with what he talked about today. Is that he said we should have non-linear deployment of resources. Growth in terms of education need not be linear. That is, the number of students have to be proportionate, number of faculty should be proportionate to number of students. If that was to happen, even if you take that factor into account, you'll still require as many as about another 6 to 7 million software engineers in coming 10 years. What do we produce at this point of time? We produce, I believe, 700,000 engineers every year. That's the last statistic I know of. We also produce about 4 million graduates in all in this country. So the quantity seems to be right. With this quantity, can we achieve the numbers that we're talking about? Possibly yes, because we're talking about 700,000 multiplied by 10 times the 7 million engineers you get right there. You still not necessarily you require all the engineers. You require graduates. So 4 million multiplied by 10 is 40 million graduates are coming in. Not necessarily all of these engineers and the graduates will only be absorbed by the IT industry. Even if the rest of the industries are going to come and compete with us, there is a good possibility that we'll still cope with it. I'm sure my good friend Sandhya, who is here from NASSCOM, she might say a few more statistics to say maybe we What was the key? Now, let me leave out for a minute. Quantity does not bother me at all. But if you look at the value proposition that an industry brought to the global market so far, has been the ability to provide people who can be readily deployed. The key buzzword is readily deployed. If you look at a number of other competing countries like China, Vietnam, Egypt, or Brazil, if you look at any of those countries, I believe the number of people who could be deployed, readily deployed, is lower than what happens in India. That's not a great story for us. But I think in passing, Dr. Reddy mentioned that 23% of the people who are currently graduating can only be deployed by the industry immediately, is the thing that is of great concern to us. The 23% has definitely improved by initiatives like the Globe Arena, where probably it's moving to about 30%, 35%. But the key challenge is, if we do not have the readily deployed, we will lose the competitive advantage of this nation. Why did the IT industry come to India so far? Keep saying, first they came because of the cost arbitrage. That was very important for them. Along with the cost, Indian software engineer proved beyond any reasonable doubt that he had the capability to deliver on time the best quality. Thereafter, we also have seen that we could deploy large number of people, but large number of people with the capability with them. But if we miss out on this opportunity in not producing enough of engineers with the highest level of quality, we'll miss out on this big opportunity itself. It actually has a much more serious cascade effect. Some of you may be familiar the type of attrition that goes on in this industry at this point in time. Industry averages are somewhere between 18 to 20% for IT industry, and I believe for the BPO industry, it's much higher. So high that I can't even say this so openly, I believe, in public forums. I'm frightened about saying that number. So what does this reflect back into? This reflects back into the cost of your engineers going up. And constantly people don't realize whenever we lose an engineer, the amount of money we lose. Because a trained engineer going out to the company certainly is a tremendous amount of money lost by the organization. And so the new organization does not get this all well. They retrain this engineer in their systems and processes to make sure that they again start performing for themselves. So the result is that why is the attrition so high? It's a fairly simple supply-demand situation. We have lower amount of supply compared to what we have as demand. And that's precisely the reason why, not that I don't do it, not that I am not the dumbest guy, but I don't have a choice but go and literally recruit people from competition. And competition is more smarter than me. I believe everybody in this world is more smarter than I am. And as a result, they compete with me and pick up people from us. So the result is that you will see that these salary levels are going up systematically. Year on year, 15% is increase in salaries. Good. We want people to be paid. We want the middle class to become bigger. We want people to be wealthier. But it has to be a much more sensible way of doing this growth. And if we don't allow this, if we allow it to go this way, not a company called Infotech Enterprises, not an industry called Information Technology Industry, it will be primarily India as a nation will lose its competitive advantage. So therefore, I think there is an imperative need at this point of time to act. An imperative need to ensure that we correct the situation that we have, which is certainly going out of hands. And initiatives of this nature, like what we're talking about from Globe Arena, certainly will help us to improve the situation. Now, step back for a minute, and we talked about the 700,000 engineers and 4 million graduates. And we also talked about this other number, 23%, 30%, or 35% who are readily employable. No, and then, analyze it. Why is it that it's as low as this number, called 30% or 35%? Primarily, if you look at it, I can, at the defense of this particular idea, I can share that we increased, I believe, our production of engineers by 800% in the last 10 years. So we had enough of students, we said so-called students, and then we also had enough of people to make those investments in infrastructure, buildings, laboratories, and so on and so forth. But where did we ever make attempt to get that faculty going? Did we make the same attempt in terms of getting 800% growth in PhDs, who are primarily reflecting back as faculty members for us? That is where I believe we failed. But that is something which requires correction. A, we require definitely good faculty in this country. And to that extent, what's the role that the industry is playing at this point in time? ASCOM is putting together 200 scholarships for PhD programs at this point, which are being funded by the industry. We, as a society, have to definitely ensure that we will promote more amount of people going into research. Only then we will find the more amount of faculty coming by. While I said we certainly need to think about faculty, equally important is the technology deployment, which Dr. Reddy also talked